Graham, Simon, we're in the home straight today. It would be remiss of me not to expand on the fact that today Simon is the Premier League's 30th birthday. And of course, on the 6th anniversary of his first game in charge, on what is the Premier League's 30th birthday, as I say, Pep Guardiola. Graham, where do you go with bold Pep? Has he imprinted the greatest impact, would you say, and legacy of any manager on England's top flight? Has there been anybody like this guy?
No, I think that goes to Fergie. I think built, was it 3 teams? Maybe 4 teams? And his legacy right now, as we sit here, is by far, in my opinion, the largest. Pep has definitely brought something different to our game. You know, the playing out from the back was creeping into the game, but it was a surge when he arrived. You know, we with the pitches improving, you could do that more. Central defenders and fullbacks were never entirely comfortable taking the ball in their own box, but the game has evolved, and that is everyone to a man now does it in the higher leagues. So yeah, I would say he's had a major influence in where the game has gone.
I mean, in the time he's been here, Graham, Guardiola, 4 Premier League titles, 4 EFL Cups, the FA Cup, a domestic treble in the 2018-19 season. I mean, he said he's done what he said he would do, but hasn't managed to lift the big one.
Yeah, cups, you need a certain amount of luck to win a cup. You know, you can just have a bad night, bad 45 minutes.
The European Cup?
Yeah, and I think it's only a matter of time.
The Champions League?
Yeah, and I can remember saying years ago, as long as the people who own Man City retain their interest, they are destined to be a dominant force. They are the noisy neighbour that's not going anywhere. They haven't moved house, and they'll be around for a long time as long as those people want to be promoting their country, Abu Dhabi. And it's a fact. You know, money talks. They spent a lot of money, but unlike the other team in the city, they seem to be getting most of their things right. They've got football people making football decisions, and it's not rocket science. I come back to it. You know, they've got, is it Serrano and Bakiristan making football decisions?
Yeah.
And they will have a network because they're in the business before.
Soriano and Baguristan, you're right.
They'll have a network throughout Europe and beyond.
Yeah.
That people mark their card about this one's looking like a player that would suit you, and they're ahead of the game right now. It didn't happen overnight, but that's why it's so. If you're a Man United supporter, it's heartbreaking that you've slipped so far off. Because it's not just about going out and seeing someone who's playing well for a big club on the continent. It's about knowing about the one behind him, who's the next one that's going to come through, and knowing that information. Only football people know that. Football people talk to each other, and Man United have not had that for a decade. It is mismanagement on an enormous scale by Man U in the football sense.
These are strong words from Graham. Simon, in terms of who is leaving the best legacy, do you think that Pep is in the process of leaving probably what will be the best?
Well, you've got one manager that managed for 21 years. Man United are and were the poster boys for the Premier League. And so with that in mind, it's very difficult to argue past Graham's point that Alex Ferguson is the person that's shadow cast the longest over the Premier League. It's undeniable and irrefutable that Pep Guardiola has had a significant impact and been a significant achiever. But I think it would be ridiculous to argue that his impact is greater than the manager that was there for 21 years and built a selection of teams.
Starting from nothing. Well, not nothing, but not starting from a particularly strong...
Well, he was given a lot of time, Graham. If you remember, 86 when he comes in, he's given 4 years before he wins anything.
Yeah.
And
but he inherited, he didn't...
He inherited time from Ron Atkinson, yeah, absolutely.
Would he have got that time now? Sir Alex, we're talking about time for Ten Hag. He wouldn't have got it now.
No, not a chance. I mean, Ron's team was a decent team.
Yeah.
But
there was a culture in United at that time that perhaps needed refreshing and rethinking, and some players that needed their minds adjusted or moved out the door. And they did, didn't they? They changed them. But there was a drinking culture there was an attitude and outlook, and there was also a Manchester United side that hadn't won very much since 1970 or 1969 or 1968, and they got relegated in 74. They'd won the FA Cup in 77. They won it again in 84, didn't they? But they weren't winning anywhere, winning leagues.
It was the league that was the key. As a player, when we were a dominant team, we never ever had an easy game against Man United. they could get themselves up for the big games, but would let themselves down for lesser games. And, and that, I come back to what I was always brought up to believe in. Winning the league says more about you as an individual and a collective, and that is a priority.
So do you think Sir Alex tops, in terms of what he's left us, he would top what Pep has done so far?
But
is Wenger in this conversation after 2 decades?
Not for me.
At Arsenal? Not for you?
No.
Why?
Well, I think he had a fantastic 10 years. He did inherit the best back five, arguably, in world football. He had the knowledge of French football when France produced the best group of players in the history of French football, and he had an insight before anyone else did. For 10 years, they were the real deal. And then for another decade, I don't think he come anywhere near that. Well, I know he didn't come anywhere near that.
Mind you, he built the Invincibles.
Yeah, I mean, and I come back to it. He had knowledge of French football, inherited a great, what was it? David Seaman, Tony Adams, Winterburn and Dixon, and it was a centre back Bolt from Stoke.
Steve Bolt.
He came from Stoke, didn't he, Steve Bolt?
Yeah.
The only thing I would say that slightly diminishes Ferguson's reputation and is put forward as a situation that people should applaud. The team that he built that won the 2013 title was done on its last legs. So he didn't leave much of a legacy for anyone to come afterwards because he didn't leave a succession programme. Now, part of a great manager, and it's a very difficult one because no one's doing
that same accusation at Arsenal.
And that's exactly where I was going to go next. That there's not enough succession thinking in place because people say, well, look what Ferguson did in his last season with that group.
He got Van Persie for that.
He left the other guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Wenger's the same. But it's a huge change of culture. But I don't. If Martin Keown was here, he'd be apoplectic because he's in the cult of Wenger. 1 minute he's in Waco, next minute he's in Arsene Wenger land.
You know what happened at Waco, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's not go there. Anyway, happy 30th birthday to the Premier League.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.